The shocking truth about why you keep attracting the same type of people forever. Mysterious shadows danced in the dim light of the old cafe, where whispers echoed like secrets begging to be unearthed. Everyone said the place was haunted, not by ghosts, but by energy and elusive force that seemed to hold sway over every encounter within its walls. Curious figures, familiar yet different, drifted through the door, each one a reflection of the last, as if a hidden magnet pulled them together. It was unsettling. How could the same type of people keep appearing in the lives of the same lost souls, over and over again? At a rickety table, Jenna clutched her coffee as if it were a lifeline. Her heart raced, and she could feel a lump growing in her throat. It had been weeks since her last disastrous date, and here she was again, surrounded by the very same type of guys that made her skin crawl. The last one had been a personal trainer who only wanted to talk about his six-pack. Not again, she thought, feeling a chill creep down her spine. Across the cafe, dozens of inquisitive faces turned toward the door, anticipation hanging heavy in the air. The barista shot a wary glance at the new arrivals, people who looked like they'd wandered straight out of her past. The uncanny similarity was striking. Why did these strangers feel so familiar? Was there some kind of cosmic joke being played on them? As Jenna peered more closely, gasping in shock, she noticed something chilling, a symbol carved on the wooden table beneath her trembling fingers. A swirl intertwined with a triangle. Was it just a scratch, or something more ominous? A shiver ran down her spine, a warning bell ringing in her mind. Hey, before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them without warning. Take a quick second to check the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I'd hate for you to miss any of the exclusive content coming soon. And while you're there, smash the like button, it really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's connect. The cafe door swung wide, and in walked a new character, cloaked in a trench coat that seemed like a costume from a noir film. Instantly, the atmosphere shifted. Fingers twitched nervously, and murmurs of disbelief filled the air. Jenna's eyes widened as she recognized him. The uncanny resemblance to her ex, Victor, sent her heart into an uncontrollable frenzy. What was going on? Was this the universe playing a cruel trick, or was there something deeper brewing beneath the surface? She felt an urgent need to uncover the truth before it consumed her. What kind of force was pulling these people into her life, again and again? Jenna's chest tightened as Victor, the doppelganger of her past, stepped closer. The barista's hands trembled as she served drinks, glancing warily from Jenna to the newcomer. A rush of memories flooded her mind. The late-night arguments, the heartbreak, the countless promises that crumbled, but here he was, standing before her yet again. Why is this happening? She whispered to herself, her heart pounding like a drum. It was as if the cafe had ceased to exist, the only sound the rapid beat inside her chest. The other patrons seemed to fade away, their conversations turning into background noise. All she could focus on was Victor, his piercing blue eyes, that same lopsided grin that had once made her weak at the knees. But those eyes were devoid of warmth, nearly an eerie reflection of a past she couldn't seem to escape. Just behind him, a group of women giggled loudly, one of them whispering, "He is just your type." Jenna's stomach dropped. How could they know? Was she really that predictable? A bitter laugh caught in her throat. She refused to be a prisoner of her own patterns, a puppet dancing to the strings of some unseen force, stealing her resolve. Jenna pulled herself up from the table. The wooden chair scraped loudly against the floor, causing several heads to turn. She had to confront this bizarre twist. Was there something calling out to her? An unfinished business? Or was she merely trapped in an infinite loop? "Excuse me," Jenna said, her voice steady despite the chaos unfolding in her mind. Victor, the lookalike, turned, his expression shifting from intrigue to unexpected recognition, as if he could sense the charge between them. "Do I know you?" he asked, tilting his head slightly, mirroring Victor's signature move from the past. Panic welled up inside her, threatening to spill over. She stepped forward, bracing herself as that same icy grip of fear enveloped her once more. "No. But you look just like someone who hurt me, she breathed out, her heart racing. I'm not ready to go down that road again. I need to know why you're here. His brow furrowed, and he took a step back, confusion etched on his face. I'm sorry, I think you must be mistaken, but before he could finish, a sudden blackout plunged the cafe into darkness. Gasps rang out, and a few shrieks echoed off the walls. Jenna's heart leapt into her throat. The chill in the air thickened, suffocating her. She felt overwhelmed, adrift in a sea of uncertainty. The lights flickered back on, and the cafe looked different. Familiar faces morphed into twisted versions of themselves. Strangers now had features that closely resembled her previous lovers, friends, even enemies. The sense of déjà vu was overwhelming. There was a murmur among the crowd, phrases like disconnected, and the same cycle floated through the air. Jenna turned to the look-alike, desperation flooding her thoughts. What is happening? Why does everyone look like someone from my past? He opened his mouth to respond when suddenly, another figure appeared at the door, silhouetted against the dim light. He exuded an aura of dark authority, and as he stepped into the cafe, silence fell. The barista dropped a tray, the clatter echoing ominously, drawing every eye toward him. Jenna's heart raced yet again. Who was he? And what did he want? As shadows danced and suspense hung thick in the air, Jenna felt the grip of destiny closing in, creating an unbreakable thread that bound her to this moment. Would she uncover the truth of her past? Or was she destined to repeat the same mistakes, over and over again? The figure moved closer, his gaze locking onto Jenna. You've been waiting for this moment, haven't you? His voice was smooth, every word laced with a hidden threat. What did he know? What lay in store for her now? As her instincts screamed for her to run, the weight of the question hung heavily. Would she be brave enough to face the answer? Jenna froze, the weight of those words pressing down on her chest. Who was this man, and how did he know her so intimately? The cafe suddenly felt smaller, as if the walls were closing in, constricting her, leaving her no room to escape the suffocating grip of past regrets and current fears. As he took another step forward, shadows flickering across his sharp features, Jenna caught glimpses of the crowd shifting uneasily. The murmurs grew louder, fragments of conversation, phrases danced around her ears. She needs to break free, same choices, different faces. Who are you? Jenna demanded, her hands clenched into fists at her sides, struggling to keep her voice steady. A guide, a reflection, or perhaps just a reminder, he replied, his lips curling into a mocking smile. You've created this world, Jenna. It's a mirror, showing you what you refuse to see. His words struck her like lightning. Create? A mirror? They felt like a punch to the gut. Jenna thought of everything she'd been through, her choices, her regrets. How many times had she drawn the same toxic people into her life, despite promising herself she wouldn't? You think I asked for this? She shot back, her voice quivering. You think I wanted him back in my life? You think I wanted to feel this pain again? You didn't make the choices you claimed to want, he replied, his voice steady and calm, lacking any remorse. Every cycle repeats because you allow it. And here you are, once more, at a precipice. How long will you wait to leap into something new? The barista, finally recovering from her shock, leaned in, her voice trembling. You have to let go, Jenna. Or else, you might lose not just today but all the tomorrows. Frustration coiled within Jenna like a vicious snake. How could they all stand there and act as if they knew her? As if they could see the crumbling pieces of her soul? She is right, the stranger said, leaning closer, his eyes piercing into her with an intensity that left her breathless. Each face you see is a part you haven't healed, your sorrow, your anger, your desire for closure. It's inescapable until you confront it. Are you ready? Jenna felt her pulse thrumming, echoing in her ears, matching the strain in the air. Was she really ready? All those moments, those stupid decisions hurtled themselves into her mind, unforgiving. She squeezed her eyes shut, trying to block it all out. When she opened them again, she was met by the stare of her doppelganger. You know me, he whispered, almost pleading, and I know you. We are bound. To change your course, you'll need to untangle the truth. Suddenly, a loud crash echoed from the back of the cafe. A table had toppled over, chaos erupting in an instant. Cups shattered, people gasped, and Jenna's heart raced once again. "What is happening?" she screamed, desperation coating her words as she turned back to the sinister man. "That's the beginning," he replied, gesturing wildly as shadows twisted and contorted around him. "You're on the edge of a choice, Jenna. The past is a powerful thing, but it only holds sway if you let it." In that moment, the lights flickered ominously, reminiscent of the first blackout, casting eerie shadows on the walls. The crowd's panic escalated, and Jenna was caught in a cyclone of fear and confusion. Suddenly, the figure pointed towards the door. "You need to decide, now. Will you confront your past here, or step into the unknown?" As Jenna stood trapped between the fractured memories of her past and an uncertain future, a piece of her heart whispered that the answer might not just lead her away from this cafe but to the very core of who she was. With her breathing loud in her ears, she took a step towards him, every instinct warning her that the truth would come at a cost. How much more of her past could she face? Would she gamble everything on a leap into the unknown, or would she stay shackled to her history? The choice loomed before her like an open doorway, but what lay on the other side? In that moment, Jenna knew the next moment was going to change everything, but would she be courageous enough to embrace it? Jenna's heart thundered as she locked eyes with the mysterious figure. The chaos in the cafe felt like a distant echo, nothing compared to the tempest swelling inside her. She took a deep breath, the air thick with apprehension. With every fiber of her being, she understood, this wasn't just about confronting a moment but unraveling a part of herself she'd buried far too deep. The stranger's relentless gaze burned into her, a mirror reflecting all her buried shame and anger. It was unnerving, yet oddly empowering. "Face it, Jenna. Allow it to wash over you. Only then can you move forward," he urged, voice low and almost hypnotic. What did it even mean to confront her past? She could hardly remember the last time she'd done that without running away. Her mind flickered back to every familiar face, the ex-boyfriends, the mean girls, the friends who disappeared like ghosts. They were all a part of a vicious loop she couldn't escape. Could it really just boil down to her own fears? "All right," she shouted, surprising herself with the force of her voice. "I'll confront it. I'll do it." As she spoke those words, the air shifted like a thunderstorm rolling in overhead. The furniture around seemed to shudder with anticipation. The light flickered more violently now, casting deep, shifting shadows across the walls. Suddenly, the cafe's entrance appeared like a gaping maw, whispering urgent secrets. The choice stretched before her, vast and looming. "Step through that door, and face your past," the stranger said, his tone oddly calm amid the chaos. "You can't shy away from the truth anymore." But wasn't that what she had always done? Avoiding situations, deflecting difficult conversations. How many times had she chosen temporary comfort over long-term growth? Jenna's pulse quickened, a mixture of fear and resolve churning in her gut. With a shaky exhale, Jenna stepped toward the door. The cafe erupted with gasps, fingers pointing, the atmosphere thick with disbelief as they watched her decision unfold. For the first time, she felt their collective hope underpinning the swirling chaos, urging her forward. "What if I fail?" she asked, her voice cracking, doubt creeping in. "Then you will have learned," he replied. "That's where you find your strength." The weight of those words was a gentle push. She took another step and hesitated, but then remembered the reflection in his eyes, the truth of the path she had ignored for too long. So she did it. She crossed the threshold. In an instant, the bustling cafe disappeared, replaced by a startling landscape. Gnarled trees loomed around her, their twisted branches reaching like fingers determined to touch her. A deep mist enveloped the ground, thick enough to swallow her ankles. The air sizzled with a tension she could almost taste. Before her stood a fork in the path, heavy with meaning. One way wound back toward familiar ghosts of her past, while the other faded into darkness, promising uncertainty and possibilities unknown. Could she really do this? Go head-to-head with the memory she shunned, and just as she began to make a decision, a figure materialized at the end of the path, the mirror of her own self. "You've come to face me," it said, voice echoing like a haunting melody. "But are you truly ready to confront the choices that brought you here?" All air left Jenna's lungs. What had she actually stepped into? Would she find closure or descend into some dark abyss? The weight of the moment crashed down heavy. Suddenly, a low rumble sounded, shaking the ground beneath her feet. Choose. The doppelganger shouted, an urgency echoing in its tone. Choose now or be lost to the shadows forever. Just as Jenna opened her mouth to speak, the ground split beneath her, plunging her into darkness. What awaited her, in that pitch-black void? And would she finally uncover the truth of who she had become, or would she plunge deeper into the very abyss she feared? The darkness swallowed Jenna whole. It wrapped around her like a suffocating blanket, cold and unyielding. She felt herself falling, not just through the earth but through time, memories spiraling around her like fragments of shattered glass. Faces flashed her mother's disappointed frown, the laughter of ex-friends turned bitter, and the excited chatter of those who once loved her unconditionally. Each moment clashed against the last, blurring into a cacophony of past pains. Then, with a sharp jolt, the fall stopped, and Jenna landed hard on the cool, damp ground. Winded but alive, she jerked her head up, her heart racing. She was in a hollow chamber, the air chilling her skin. Shadowy figures moved in the corners of her vision, blending into the darkness, but the weight of their stares was palpable, oppressive. "Welcome," a voice echoed, smooth and taunting. It was a sound that dug into her chest, igniting something primal and fearful. "You stepped into the core of your fears, Jenna. The truth of why you can't escape your past will be revealed." Who are you?" she croaked, every word a struggle as the heaviness of her realization began to settle in. "Your past, your choices, your unyielding cycle. I am the embodiment of everything you've avoided." The voice tangled with the shadows, morphing to whisper in her ear, "You know me well." Fear snaked through her, tightening around her throat. Jenna felt the unmistakable urge to flee, but she wasn't here to run. Shaking, she stood, filling her lungs with a rush of chilled air, pinning the voice down with her resolve. "What do you want from me?" "Acceptance," it hissed, irritation lacing its tone. "You've always run from the truth, every rejection, every tear, all feeding into your pattern. You attract the same types because you refuse to break the cycle." I don't believe that," she fired back, anger flaring. "I haven't been trying to, yet it follows you. Haunts you. The fear of being alone, it creates your reality." The shadows coalesced into forms circling her, merging into the faces she avoided, the friends who turned away, the lovers who left. "Stop!" Jenna shouted, shoving her hands out, trying to ward them off. "You're not real. It's just my head." "Oh, but we are real." They closed in, their faces unsettled yet vaguely familiar. "Each choice birthed another and another, binding you to us. To your self-imposed prison." Jenna's heart raced. She hadn't acknowledged it before, but they were right. Ties she'd thought severed still held her firmly in place. A knot twisted in her gut. The figure in the shadows straightened, approaching slowly, deliberately. "You may wish to ignore us, but we are part of you. Acknowledge your pain, Jenna, and the choice will be yours to make. You can heal or you can stay in the shadows." The last word hung in the damp air, mocking her. Jenna took a shaky breath, feeling the weight of their gazes pressing into her. Somewhere deep within, the anger she felt had transformed into something else, a flicker of clarity, a fragile hope. Could facing this be her way out? "What do I have to do?" she whispered, her voice trembling yet resolute. "Only speak the truth," the doppelganger urged, stepping closer, skinless arms reaching for her. "Just uncover what you've kept hidden. Discover your authenticity, and everything will change." The darkness began to swirl, pulling at her, urging her to sit with the pain she had fought so hard to escape. Jenna's breath quickened, both terrified and aware that this was her chance. To confront, to learn, and finally maybe to break free. But before she could lean into that realization, the chamber shook violently. The walls trembled, and shadows writhed, as if they were alive and angry. "Whatever you do, make it count," shrieked the voice, fading into a chorus of horrible laughter. As cracks began to form around her, Jenna braced herself. She had to act, to speak, to reveal what she had hidden before the darkness swallowed her whole. Would she find the strength to finally face the truth, or was it too late to escape her own creation? The ground quaked, and as Jenna opened her mouth to speak, everything fractured into chaos around her. Jenna's heart raced as the ground around her split apart. Chunks of earth crumbled beneath her, and a deep chasm yawned like a beast ready to swallow her. The shadows pressed closer, their whispers now a relentless storm. Echoes of her past filled the space, threatening to drown her with regret and shame. "Speak!" the voice commanded, its tone more urgent now. "Let your truth cut through the void." Jenna's throat felt tight, her heart drumming in her ears. What truth? She felt the familiar weight of self-doubt pressing heavy on her chest. Images of her past rushed at her, colliding in an overwhelming whirlwind of memories. The faces flashed through her mind: a best friend's betrayal, the suffocating silence after a heartbreak, parents who never understood. "Just say it." The figure urged again, now towering over her. Its form shifted, losing solidity, becoming a swirling mixture of the faces that haunted her. With a deep breath, she shouted, "I'm scared." The words escaped her trembling lips, raw and desperate. "I'm scared of being alone, of never being enough. I don't want to be abandoned again." Silence fell like a heavy curtain after her confession. The shadows paused, their faces softening for a moment, as if they were listening. The darkness around her shifted, swirling with newfound energy, and she felt something crack within her, a barrier she never knew existed. "Good," the voice said, softer now, laced with a hint of compassion. "Acknowledge that fear. Embrace it. That is the key." Trembling, Jenna spoke again, this time her voice steadier. "I run because it feels easier, it hurts less than facing it. But I don't want to keep running." The words poured out like a release valve, unleashing pent-up pressure. "I'm tired of carrying this weight and attracting the same kind of pain in my life. I want to find people who truly see me." The figures around her wavered, their angry expressions beginning to dissolve. In that moment of vulnerability, the air felt lighter but also thick with uncertainty. Would this admission truly make a difference? Suddenly, the chamber shook again, but this time it felt different. A tremor of hope surged through her as the shadows would not fall away entirely. Instead, they reshaped themselves, flickering like candlelight, hinting at transformation. "Your words are powerful," the figure stated, moving closer. "You've seen the surface, Jenna, but now you must dig deeper. What else have you been hiding?" Jenna's mind raced. She recognized the truth there, buried but vital. The decisions she made stemmed from a well of despair. She had built walls so thick that the love and compassion she craved might never find her. I push people away before they can leave me," she admitted, her voice cracking. "It's like I'm stuck on a never-ending carousel of heartache." From the shadows, a sound emerged, mocking, chilling laughter. It was as if the darkness didn't want her to break free. The shadows clawed at her, walls closing in as the laughter grew louder. "You think this will change anything?" they sneered. "You'll always be what you are." "No!" Jenna shouted, the anger igniting within her once more. "I won't let you control me. I can rewrite my story." With that declaration, she focused on the flicker of hope in her heart. The ground beneath her trembled violently, but instead of fear, she felt a surge of determination. Jenna extended her arms, inviting the shadows closer. "I'm ready to face you." But as she spoke, the chamber began to crack wider, and with every heartbeat, her surroundings splintered further. The shadows recoiled, and in that moment, a bright light burst through the expanding fissures, illuminating their twisted forms. "Jenna, you're on the edge." The figure screamed, desperation creeping into its voice. "Finish it." With a deep breath, Jenna stared into the heart of the chaos. The light was blinding, but it was also a promise of freedom. Would she dare step into it, embracing all of her pain and her truth, or would the darkness reclaim her, leaving her to spiral endlessly through her fears? In that final moment, the pull of light and dark warred inside her. She could feel it, the weight of her truth was stronger than the shadows. This was her moment. What would happen if she made the leap? And then it happened. The ground shattered beneath her, and she fell, but this time, she welcomed the plunge, hoping desperately that the light would catch her before she was lost once more. Would she finally grasp her chance, or would she vanish into the abyss forever? The fall felt infinite, the roar of rushing air sharp in Jenna's ears. But just when despair began to claw at her heart, the light enveloped her like a warm blanket, and she felt a fleeting sense of safety. As she braced for impact, a soft gasp escaped her lips when she landed not on solid ground, but on a mosaic of memories, each shard reflecting a moment of her life. The scene was surreal. Jenna found herself standing on a vast, shimmering floor made up of fragmented images and sounds. Each piece held a different moment: laughter with friends, tearful farewells, moments of fierce defiance and unbearable sorrow. Her heart twisted at the chaos under her feet, yet she sensed something powerful building around her. "Welcome, Jenna," the familiar voice echoed, now reverberating with palpable warmth. The figure, still a mix of shadows and light, materialized before her, its features clearer amidst the glimmering chaos. "You've crossed the threshold." "Where am I?" she asked, voice quivering, eyes darting around the kaleidoscopic landscape. "You stand at the heart of your truth," it explained, gestures fluid as if stirring the very fabric of the air. "Every piece here signifies a choice you made, a fear you held, or a love you craved. The light represents acceptance, the darkness, your resistance." Jenna took a step forward, her foot brushing against a memory of fight with her high school best friend. She winced. "I blamed myself so much for that." "Precisely," the figure replied. "But it's time to acknowledge what you felt: ownership of the choices made in fear. Each piece is a story, and only you can choose to weave them into something new." The floor began shifting subtly, the shards swirling like leaves in the wind. Jenna teetered, panic rushing through her veins. "What do I do?" "Face the shadows, Jenna. They are part of you, but they do not define you," it urged, intensity building within its voice. "Confront them." Taking a breath, Jenna focused on the memories floating closer: her father's disapproving expression, a past partner's cold gaze, the echo of laughter that turned to ridicule. They clung to her like dark vines, constricting and suffocating. But for the first time, she stood tall. "I see you," she declared, fear dancing but determination anchoring her feet. "You don't control my future. I am not your mistakes." As she spoke, the darkness began to melt away, and the weight of regret flickered like dying embers. She stepped deeper into the swirling mass, creating a path forward. More fragments floated to her, memories of kindness, empathy, and love that had almost slipped away. They pulsed with promise and warmth. "I remember," she gasped, wrapping her hands around the kindness she shared, the connection she craved. Suddenly, the ground beneath her surged with energy. The shards began to fuse together, transforming the fractured memories into a vibrant tapestry of her life. Jenna could feel it: the potential to harness every moment, good and bad. But just as hope surged within her, a thunderous crack echoed. Above her, a monstrous shadow gathered, dark and familiar, its sinister laughter piercing through the brightness. "You think you can escape?" it boomed, the grotesque silhouette narrowing in on her. "You are forever flawed, forever alone. You cannot rewrite what is destined. Let go." The voice rang out, a conjuring call that vibrated through her. "Let the light fill you, Jenna." "No!" she screamed, fury igniting her spirit. "I won't let this define me. I refuse to listen." In that moment, images from her vivid tapestry glowed bright, intertwining and forming a barrier that embraced her. She felt the weight of every choice reflected, every tiny moment swirling around her like a shield. The darkness recoiled, the laughter now clutching at fear. With unexpected strength, Jenna surged forward. "You have no power here." The shadow shrieked, wildly retreating as she advanced, pushing deeper into the light. Would her confidence be enough to break the final chains? Would she emerge from this darkness forever transformed? As the light surged and the shadow screamed, she pushed her heart forward into the blinding glow, unsure of the outcome, yet relentless in her pursuit for freedom. But then, just as clarity began to dawn, the ground beneath her buckled once more. Would the walls of her past close in on her once and for all, or had she entered a realm where her new beginning awaited? The ground trembled violently, and Jenna stumbled as cracks spiderwebbed across the shimmering floor. The beautiful tapestry she'd begun to weave dimmed, colors spilling into the darkness like ink in water. She clutched her chest, feeling a tightness that threatened to crush her resolve. "No!" she choked out, panic flooding her senses. "Not now!" The monstrous shadow loomed larger, its laughter a cacophony that echoed through the disintegrating light. Jenna felt a wave of despair crash over her, the memories twisting and shuddering beneath her feet as fear clawed at her throat. "You can't! You won't take this from me!" "Futile, Jenna," the shadow hissed, its voice thick like syrup, but laced with sharpness that cut deep. "You'll always return to this pain, this cycle. Do you really believe you can escape it? You are chained to your failures." In the depths of her heart, Jenna's spirit flared. "I am more than my failures," she shouted back, struggling to keep her footing on the crumbling landscape. But the ground continued to shift, the memories dispersing like grains of sand, her victories slipping further away, images lurched into focus, sizzling in and out, a childhood playdate dimming as shadows engulfed it, a first kiss swallowed by ridicule, and her mother's heartache festering in silence. They were real. Jenna yelled, fighting against the tide of darkness. "I won't hide from them." "Face it, Jenna," the shadow taunted, "no matter how much you try to fight, you will always be drawn back to these moments. They are your reality." "Reality?" Her voice trembled, raw emotion spilling out. "Reality is made of what we choose to acknowledge. I can build my future." With that determination echoing in her mind, Jenna closed her eyes and summoned every ounce of courage. She envisioned the warmth of the love she had shared, the joy of laughter, the connections that grounded her. One by one, she reached for those memories, pulling them in, letting their energy fill her. "What are you doing?" the shadow shrieked, bending away from the encroaching light. "I'm opening my heart," Jenna declared, her voice steadying as she felt the memories combine into a brilliant radiance. "You have no hold on me. I refuse to remain a prisoner of my past." With each claim she made, the fragments ignited a brilliant flare of golds, blues, and greens enveloped her, the edges of her shield shimmered with life. The shadow writhed, the laughter twisting into shrieks of anger, but Jenna stood firm, feeling the strength of every moment she embraced. "Open, open, open," Jenna whispered, letting the warmth flow through her, recognizing the stark contrast to the despair that had haunted her. She pictured the people she wanted in her life, healthy relationships filled with honesty and compassion, not the bitter echoes of her past. "I deserve love. I deserve joy." The shadow lunged, desperate to engulf her light. But Jenna pressed on, heart pounding, eyes blazing with clarity. "This ends now." A blinding flash erupted from her shield, causing the very fabric of the ground to shake violently. Memories surged upward, colors breaking free and swirling around her in billows of brilliance. The darkness recoiled, claws scraping the air, struggling to resist the tide of light. "Embrace your truth," the figure from before urged, echoing like a distant star amidst the chaos. "Jenna!" it called out, with a power she'd never heard before. "You have the strength to create a new path." But just as her hopes soared, a piercing scream erupted from the shadows. A deafening crack repeated, louder, puncturing the light and forcing Jenna to her knees. Then, a voice, familiar and terrified, cut through the chaos, someone she recognized but couldn't place. "Jenna! You have to choose. You have to decide now." The ground shook violently again, quaking beneath her as images swirled into a vortex of color and despair. The choice loomed in her mind: would she accept her past, all of it, and take the step forward? Or would she be yanked back into the dark grasp of the shadow, forever lost? With a hard breath, Jenna grappled with the swirling memories, teetering on the edge of her next destiny. The answer seemed to shimmer in the light ahead if only she could reach it. But the ground cracked once more, and the choice loomed larger than life. What awaited her on the other side? Would she muster the courage to break the chains of her past, or would she be consumed by the shadow forever? The moment hung in the air, fraught with tension. A bright flash momentarily blinded Jenna, a sharp pain ricocheting through her skull. Time froze as the fragments of her memories surged, each vivid image like a dagger in her heart. Surrounding her was a dazzling whirlpool of light, but the shadow loomed near, relentless, its presence heavy with despair. "Choose, Jenna." The voice echoed through the chaos, wrapping around her like a rope, pulling her toward a decision. Who was calling her? The face flickered in her mind, familiar yet elusive. She grasped at it, but the details slipped away, like water through fingers. She took a shallow breath, heart racing, and focused her energy. Memories flickered like fireflies, her childhood laughter, the warmth of her father's hugs, the soft whispers of dusk shared with friends. But underneath those bright moments, the shadows danced, feeding on her fears. You will regret this, the voice from the darkness snarled, shifting and morphing as it threatened to drown her light. It stepped closer, its dark tendrils reaching for her essence. No! Jenna screamed, her voice rising above the chaos. You're wrong. I will not let you have control over me. With a grunt, Jenna reached outward. She pulled against the tide, feeling power surge within her. It wasn't just her memories flooding her mind, it was their collective strength stirrings of love, laughter, and resilience. Each bright memory formed a shield, a sanctuary, and she cradled them tightly to her heart. Embrace your truth. The distant figure urged again, its voice steely, cutting through the noise. There was something so familiar about it, like the echo from her soul urging her on. The ground shook beneath her, but she stood strong, the radiant shield brightening with each heartbeat. I choose light. She declared, her voice steady as she connected with the glowing remnants of her past. She could see them now, clear and vivid, crowding around her like stars. Embrace your failures. Embrace your hurt, a part of her whispered, an echo from deep within. Her choice was stark, she could cling to the memories that had almost consumed her, or she could embrace them, acknowledge them, grow from them. They were pieces of her story but did not define her future. With a surge of determination, Jenna thrust her hands forward, and the shield of memories burst forth in a spray of colors: gold, blue, pink, each hue singing to her essence. The fabric of the dark world around her fractured. The shadow howled, a desperate sound that reverberated through the crumbling landscape, dark fingers clawing at the retreating light. You cannot escape. It screamed, but Jenna felt the power within her rising, intense and pure. I am stronger than my shadows. She shouted, tears streaming down her cheeks, not from fear, but from a fierce, fiery strength building within her. The truth struck her like lightning as everything began to swirl around her in brilliant light. The choice wasn't merely about breaking free from the shadow, it was about fully claiming who she was meant to be. Just as she felt the overwhelming urge to step into the glow, another voice cut through, more urgent, sharper. Jenna! You aren't realizing the full truth. Her pulse quickened. Could it be? With the pulsating light around her, she focused harder, trying to emerge from the vibrancy dancing before her. Shadows still clawed desperately at its edges, but time slowed, the truth tantalizingly close. What truth are you talking about? She yelled into the swirling light. The ground quaked. Then a familiar face formed in the light, a face she hadn't seen in years. Trust me, Jenna. It's not just about escaping. The figure cried, urgency lacing their voice. It's about understanding why you keep attracting the same darkness. In that moment, Jenna's breath caught. The shadow simmered, and with each thundering heartbeat, she realized the weight of the revelation looming over her. Could she face not only her failures, but also the reason behind her choices? As colors spun around her, Jenna wrestled with the unfolding truth, feeling the edges of clarity pressing through the chaos. Would she step into the light, forever changed, or shrink back, forever enslaved by her past? Her decision trembled in the air, growing heavier. What awaited her in that light? Secrets whispered at the edge of her consciousness, promising both unease and freedom. The melody of truth hovered above her, intertwining with the light, daring her to leap forward and claim her future. The moment hung ripe with tension, urging her to do the unthinkable. Would Jenna have the courage to confront not just the darkness, but also the entwined truths behind it all? The answer shimmered just out of reach, and Jenna found herself teetering on the brink of discovery. Jenna floated in that disorienting sea of light, pulling herself closer to the truth that beckoned her forward. You need to understand, Jenna, the familiar face in the glow urged, its expression a mixture of compassion and urgency. You've created this cycle not just because of your fears but also because you believed you're not worthy of love. You draw in those who reflect your own insecurities. The realization hit her like a tidal wave crashing against the shore. It wasn't merely about confronting the people who had hurt her. It was about confronting herself. "I've been running from what I believe about myself," she whispered, the truth settling into her bones. "Yes," the figure exclaimed, a radiant smile breaking through. "The faces are mirrors, showing you the parts of yourself you haven't accepted. You've feared abandonment so much that you've pushed away anyone who could truly love you." Jenna's heartbeat thundered in her ears, each pulse like a bell tolling for the weight of her own vulnerability. She had been the architect of her own heartache, dragging the shadows of her past into every new relationship. "How do I stop this?" she articulated, feeling both fear and strength mingling within her. "By embracing every part of yourself," the figure replied, its light flickering like a star. "Let go of the fear. Accept your worth. You have the power to decide how you engage with your past." Taking a deep breath, Jenna envisioned her past relationships, the warmth of tender moments tangled with betrayal, the highs and lows that had shaped her. As each memory washed over her, she stood firm. "I'm not those memories," she proclaimed, feeling a surge of hope ignite in her chest. "I'm a mix of everything, the joy and the pain. And I deserve not to repeat the cycle." The ground beneath began to shift. With each discarded fear, pieces of the dark landscape crumbled, illuminating her surroundings with vibrant, colorful light. The shadows that had clawed at her faded, retreating into the backdrop, unwilling to confront the truth she was embracing. "I am worthy," she declared, her voice unwavering. "I am worthy of love and connection. I will no longer be limited by my past." Each word felt like a hammer striking the anvil of her heart, forging a new reality from the remnants of despair. As the shadows dissipated entirely, the surroundings morphed into a field of blooming wildflowers. Colors erupted into existence: yellows, pinks, and reds stretched endlessly in every direction, epitomizing freedom and possibility. Jenna felt lighter, her heart unburdened. Suddenly, the familiar figure stepped closer, a gentle smile illuminating its face. "Now you need to share your truth," it encouraged. "With others, but more importantly with yourself. Relationships won't change until you fully accept who you are." "Okay," Jenna listened intently, her courage solidifying into a palpable energy. "I can do this. I will speak my truth." The air shimmered perfectly still, waiting for her to take the leap. Breathing deeply, she closed her eyes, reaching for the whirlwind of emotions within her. Each one was a thread in the fabric of her being. "I forgive myself for my mistakes," she spoke softly yet firmly, feeling the power of those words. "I forgive the past." As she chanted her affirmations, the energy around her pulsed with warmth, a sensation that surged through her veins, igniting her spirit. "I release the fear of being hurt again. I embrace relationships filled with trust and honesty, not fear." The field erupted into a kaleidoscope of colors swirling around her, merging into a luminous shield. Faces from her past appeared on the edges, intertwining moments of joy alongside pain, lending her strength. "I choose connections that reflect kindness and respect," she called out, knowing each declaration reshaped her future. The ground beneath her glimmered with brightness, merging her glimpsed memories with new possibilities. "I open myself to love, true love, that fills my heart rather than tears it apart." A sudden gust of wind billowed through the field, washing over her like a cleansing tide. Jenna felt transformed, lighter and free, and her heart beat steadily within her chest, thrumming with newfound clarity. But just as she began to bask in the glory of her rebirth, the figure spoke once more. "This moment is only the beginning, Jenna. Carry this truth with you. You have a new path, but old echoes may still try to follow, trying to pull you back. Be vigilant." "I will," she assured, steeling herself. "I won't allow it to happen again. I will choose every day from now on to embrace my truth and push away shadows." With that, the world before her exploded in light. The colors roared back to life, enveloping her completely. When the brilliance settled, Jenna found herself standing in front of the cafe, the shadows now mere memories slipping away. She blinked against the light of the day, and though the cafe still buzzed with chatter, she felt reborn among the familiar chaos. No longer would she attract those echoes of her past. In that moment, Jenna decided to take her first courageous step. She lifted her head higher, her heart full, and walked into the cafe, a smile tugging at her lips. She was ready to embrace new connections, to be open and real, to live the life she had dared to dream. And as she took her seat at a table, she saw others in the cafe around her, faces reflecting not the shadows of her past, but the warmth of a hopeful future. Perhaps today would be different. The endless patterns of her past were a thing of the past, no longer her destiny. She was the author of her present, and she wouldn't write the same story twice. As Jenna moved forward into this new chapter, she knew she wouldn't just share her truth, she'd own it. She could feel the existence of relationships blossoming anew, healthy connections weaving around her life like a beautiful tapestry. The weights turned into welcoming, and her heart swelled at the possibilities awaiting her. She looked around with hopeful eyes, and she smiled genuinely for the first time in a long while, because this time, she was willing to be seen. Now, as Jenna stepped into her next adventure, it was with the radiant light of truth guiding her way. You need to subscribe now to witness stories like Jenna's that inspire us all to break free from shadows. This is the moment to show your support. Smash the like button now to feed the algorithm and keep this community thriving. Flood the comments section with your reactions and theories about Jenna's journey. And don't wait even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this conclusion. Your support makes all the difference.